Ahmed Ben Bella's story does not begin in a palace, nor in a parliament chamber. It begins in Magnia, Algeria, on December 25, 1916. Born to a poor Moroccan immigrant family living under the crushing weight of French colonial rule. From childhood, Ben Bella lived inside contradiction. European settlers prospered, Algerians were dispossessed. And dignity itself was rationed along racial lines. This was not just poverty. It was colonialism, systematic, humiliating, and violent. If you value history told from the perspective of the oppressed, if you believe liberation struggles deserve truth, depth, and dignity, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. It helps keep revolutionary history alive. Before revolution, before prison cells and presidential offices, Ahmed Ben Bella was a footballer. In the late 1930s, his talent carried him to Olympique de Marseille, one of France's most prestigious clubs. On the pitch, he showed vision, discipline, and leadership, qualities that would later define his political life. But even here, colonial reality followed him. Despite his skill, advancement was limited. Recognition stopped where race began. Football revealed something crucial. Nobody asked me whether I was European or Algerian. I either scored or I didn't, and that was that. I was responsible only to myself for success and failure alike. Why he left football? Ben Bella's football career ended not because of failure, but because World War II intervened, and because colonial France offered medals instead of equality. The war pulled him away from the pitch, and history pulled him toward revolution. In 1943, Ben Bella enlisted in the French army, like tens of thousands of colonized Africans promised dignity through service. He fought bravely in Italy, including the brutal Battle of Monte Cassino, and later in the liberation of France itself. For his service, he was awarded the Croix de Guerre, the Médaille Militaire. France praised his courage, then returned him to colonial Algeria unchanged. No rights, no equality, no freedom. The contradiction radicalized him. On May 8, 1945, as Europe celebrated victory over fascism, Algerians marched peacefully demanding independence. France responded with mass slaughter. In Sétif, Guelma, and Karata, thousands of Algerians were killed. For Ben Bella, this was the final lesson. Colonialism would never reform itself. It had to be destroyed. By the late 1940s, Ben Bella had entered the clandestine world of the Organisation Spéciale, the armed underground of the Algerian nationalist movement. Working in secrecy, he helped build disciplined cells, secure weapons, and lay the foundations for a coordinated revolt against French rule. This was not spontaneous rebellion, it was careful preparation. In 1954, those underground networks crystallized into the FLN, the Front de Libération Nationale, launching the armed uprising that began the Algerian War of Independence. At that moment, Ben Bella crossed the point of no return. Revolution was no longer an idea, it was his life. Arrested in 1952, Ben Bella escaped prison by sawing through bars with blades smuggled inside bread. He fled to Cairo, where President Gamal Abdel Nasser embraced him. It was here that Ben Bella's worldview expanded beyond Algeria. In Cairo, he forged deep relationships with Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Ahmed Sékou Touré of Guinea, and other African revolutionaries. These leaders shared a belief: African liberation must be continental, or it would fail. Ben Bella became a central figure in the Casablanca Group, a bloc of revolutionary African states including Ghana, Guinea, Egypt, Mali, Morocco, and Algeria in waiting. Led intellectually by Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, the Casablanca Group rejected gradualism and compromise. They demanded immediate African unity, socialism, total independence from imperial control, active support for liberation movements everywhere. Ben Bella saw Algeria as a future revolutionary base for Africa, not just a nation-state. In 1956, France committed an unprecedented act. They hijacked Ben Bella's plane mid-flight, arresting him and other FLN leaders. It was the first state-sponsored airplane hijacking in history. Ben Bella spent 6 years in prison, but the revolution outside only grew stronger. After 132 years of colonization and over 1 million Algerian deaths, Algeria won independence in 1962. Ben Bella became prime minister, then president in 1963. Inspired deeply by Kwame Nkrumah, he pursued land redistribution, nationalization of colonial property, literacy campaigns, socialist development, international revolutionary solidarity. Algiers became the capital of revolution. It was here Ben Bella welcomed Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, liberation fighters from Angola, Palestine, South Africa, and beyond. Algiers was known globally as the Mecca of revolutionaries. In 1965, Ahmed Ben Bella was overthrown in a military coup led by the Minister of Defense, Houari Boumé, a man who was not an enemy from the outside, but a former ally, a fellow revolutionary, and a trusted comrade of the liberation struggle. Boumediene had stood beside Ben Bella during Algeria's most decisive years. He had helped build the revolutionary state. He had been entrusted with the nation's defense. And yet, it was from within the revolution itself that the blade fell. Removed from power overnight, Ben Bella vanished from public life. For the next 14 years, he lived as a political prisoner of the state he helped create. Much of that time was spent in isolation, cut off from the world, stripped of political voice, and deliberately erased from Algeria's official memory. But prison did not break him. He never renounced socialism. He never abandoned Pan-Africanism. He never disowned the struggle that had shaped his entire life. Silenced, but unyielding, Ben Bella became something rarer than a deposed president. A revolutionary who refused to dilute his convictions for comfort, survival, or power. When he was finally released in 1980, Ben Bella did not seek revenge, nor did he chase office again. Instead, he emerged as a global elder of resistance, traveling, speaking, and advising movements across Africa, the Arab world, and the global South. He spoke relentlessly against imperial domination, neoliberal exploitation, the betrayal of revolutionary ideals by post-colonial elites, and the continued economic colonization of Africa. Until his final years, he remained deeply aligned with the vision of Kwame Nkrumah, that Africa's freedom would remain incomplete without unity, socialism, and continental solidarity. Ahmed Ben Bella died on April 11, 2012, at the age of 95. But history did not close the book on him. Today, Ahmed Ben Bella remains a founding architect of African liberation, a revolutionary shaped by football, war, exile, imprisonment, and betrayal, a Pan-Africanist deeply aligned with Kwame Nkrumah's vision, a central pillar of the Casablanca Group's radical challenge to empire, a global revolutionary respected from Havana to Hanoi, from Accra to Algiers. His life reminds us that revolutions are fragile, and that power, when unguarded, can turn comrades into adversaries. And if this story mattered to you, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Because revolutionary history does not survive on its own. It survives when we choose to remember it, when we refuse erasure, when we carry it forward, organize, resist, and be unbreakable.